I mentioned about finding the destiny, and we have to have a principle. So the practicing principle is the way of the destiny. So the process is the answer or the result. And process need to be aligned with the source of who we are, where the laws of nature or laws of the universe would prevailing, because we shouldn't violate that because it's not healthy and it's not logical. If you use your rational mind, except the human mind would have that way of developing images to go beyond, and that helped us. So the point of the whole is to see who is the master and who is the servant. And the master is the law of the universe, the source or the root, as I call it. And then the ones that follow is the tool we got, which is the mind and the brain, or the rationality, words, logic, cause and effect. All of that happens in that mind, and also creating the image. But all the image and the equation or the logic and cause and effect is more or less aligned. And it's not easy to find out what's aligned or not. But theoretically speaking, at least, the wise person would speak only what's needed and make a case and live accordingly. So extrovert and communicating with others would be a chance of the failure for communication, as well as within him. If you use the word and logic from what is going on, you are just producing the image of what's going on, translate it into word, and therefore the communication within himself, there may be a ambiguity, as well as communication from what he says or write to others have ambiguity. So there's lots of chance of mistakes. Plus, on top of it, each person's bringing what they have experienced so forth has the bias, so to speak, especially those who are not awakened and just confined in the mind and think that's the whole. Then total this connection may exist. It's kind of like different species trying to talk each other, and that's not feasible. Therefore, the point is that you want to resolve in yourself to be sane and happy in the sense of being with the nature's way or with the heart and brain is connected. And if you don't have that, you don't have a resonance, disharmony, and it's actually not healthy to live like that because it's like a blockage or bottleneck is there, so the energy of life doesn't flow well. And we may not notice it, but that's the point of my talking about the compass or gyroscope or the gauge of the waku waku, the sense of aliveness that we can feel. Also, there are signs such as how tense your muscle is and you're smiling or not, and or very tense, and then you're kind of rigid and so focused on what you say and how to say it, and then to be perfect doesn't cut it. So you have to have the sense of freely expressing who you are without so much concern about the social construct of what is you are supposed to be. Because the society itself is a manifestation of individuals, and there are not many awakened souls there, then misinterpretation can happen and there's no resonance and no connection. That's the part of the ones who may be awakened would stay away from the society because of the energy loss and difficulty of communication and all that. Am I saying that I'm the awakened, that I feel the same? To a degree, after going through that awakening and all that follows, and going through the difficulties, especially related to relationship and so forth, and learning even after that, and all of that, it's still a process of finding the resolution. It's the principal way that I have to live, and then find the destiny as you go. As much as I change, and my new neurons develop every day, 1.5 1.8 million neurons every day. Someone said that. I think Bolte Taylor. And even if internally and externally the change takes place, but we may not see that change because the mind is limited, and what's going on inside of us, which is the source of how those functions of how we live, is not easily detectable. So only the chance that I see is the awareness of what I'm talking about in mind. So it's a cautious remark of how we live, as well as to have the sense of who we are, what we do, how we do, and know the symptom, the phenomena of what's going on from moment to moment. If we have that sense, perception, and that's the sixth sense, so to speak, to see and understand the law of nature manifesting, whether you are alive or not. So it's not your construct, it's the source's way, the root way, the nature's way, the universe's way of expressing itself, and you are living, or my term I used was you are on the web of the manifestation of the universe functioning, and you are aligned and living with that. And when you live or die, that same process goes on. So your root is like a God, infinite wisdom, infinite compassion. Compassion comes because we get sidetracked and there are unfavorable situations, the war and miscommunication, and that's sad. And there's a gap in between those who may be awakened. And you can even call that those are the ones in the Garden of Eden, because they are with the God, according to Bible, or my term is the way of the universe. Then you're floating in there, riding the wave of the universe, and it's peaceful, blissful. And once you have that, that's the attraction, or the nature's way of telling which way is the passage, that you are following the principle, so go for it, and that's the destiny. And in the process, you may share your ideas with others so that there may be some more connections, coherent way, so that the human species can evolve instead of trapped by abuse of the technology, political system, ego, and all of that. So we are facing that, and therefore living in such an environment, I call it the new hero's journey. The hero to go through that, muddle through that, may not be so easy. So you pick a fight and then do whatever you can. I mean, picking the fight is not the right way, but finding the way to connect within yourself with others, ideally more like a transparent connection, immediate connection, all aligned with the laws of the universe. That's the name of the game. And therefore the root, the source we can identify with, if we can, would drive us, and we are floating knowing what's going on. And still you can use your imagination because you have the mind faculty that you have acquired and developed, but they have to be aligned. So even though you have a bad memory in the past popping up, but you can access it and figure out how to deal with it, so you can find the passage according to its principle way, because you know that delusion is a delusion and it's not healthy. Your ego play this way or that way and get us sucked into the process, because it can be powerful because of the old experience and the stuff that you got in the past. So they will tell you, how you made a mistake. And in a way, that ego is natural because you have to save your identity. It's nature's way. But if it's violate and harm others and harm yourself, you are stupid to use that faculty in the wrong direction. So that's the awakening of the human as a whole that we have to go through. Individually, whenever the other whole can happen, because it may not happen. We may have the atomic war, the nuclear war, and we may not exist. But still, the earth is gone, and then you still have the way of the universe functioning. So out of that, maybe the dust and the beginning of the new species come up with amoeba, and then in a little I don't know what it is, but in the ocean and into the land and into the air and full, going through this evolutionary process. So that's the image I was talking the other day. But anyway, the point of this is just to know who we are. And by knowing who we are, all the source of the delusion and all that past experience, the way of using logic and making mistakes and learning, that's one that you can play in the mind, but then has to be linked to, so that there's a fundamental principle to connect to. So there's a harmonious existence, not just within the mind, with your own experience, which may be different from others to optimize it, but rather to have the common base of who we are. And with that, and find a way to interact within yourself related to the past memory and logic, and modifying, correcting as needed, but as well as connecting with others, other human being and the other living being and the rest of it. And that's the way into the future. I hear the birds singing, and when your mind is clear and quiet, you can hear it. You can resonate with the bird. I can hear it. I don't know if it's being recorded, but that's a toy in New Zealand. And the wind is blowing, the sun is good, fine, hero's journey. Thank you.